Imagine being surrounded by total darkness, submerged deep beneath the ocean's surface in an uncharted underwater cave system. The intense pressure weighs heavily, the environment is hostile, and unimaginable dangers lurk around every corner. For most, this is the stuff of nightmares. But for Agnes Malauka, it was a type of life she embraced. With over 1,100 dives under her belt, she ventured boldly into the depths where few dared to go. Born in Poland in 1981, Agnes moved to Australia at a young age. It was there that her love affair with the underwater world began during a chance encounter with the marine life at Ningaloo Reef. While colorful reefs and darting fish first captured Agnes's imagination, she soon found herself drawn to the haunting beauty and untold mysteries of shipwrecks. This fascination drove Agnes to pursue a graduate diploma in maritime archaeology. In 2004, a snorkeling trip to the renowned Mount Gambier sinkhole ignited Agnes's passion for cave exploration. The following year, she began cave diving. Her hunger was for the thrill of the unknown, to reach realms unseen by human eyes. What truly set Agnes apart was her petite stature, allowing her unique access to cave passages virtually impassable for an average-sized person. In particularly narrow sections, Agnes employed an unconventional no-mounting technique, temporarily detaching her air tanks to trail behind as she inched forward inch by agonizing inch. This daring technique helped Agnes reveal parts of the caves that would forever remain off-limits to others. But Agnes didn't just explore. She shared her journeys visually through stunning underwater photography. Her work graced publications around the world and even caught the eye of director James Cameron, who tapped her talents as a stunt diver for the 3D cave diving film Sanctum. On February 27, 2011, Agnes's passion brought her full circle to the infamous Tank Cave, just kilometers from the Pickaninny Pond sinkhole where her fascination with the underground was sparked years earlier. Joining a group of 10 other skilled cave divers, she eagerly geared up for another journey into the unknown. That morning, Agnes entered the Tank Cave waters alongside her dive partner. As they pushed deeper into the cave's tunnels, they encountered an obstacle, a narrow, constricting passage that would soon become the site of an unimaginable tragedy. On a previous expedition of the same cave, Agnes had laid nearly 1,000 feet of guideline. Her vision was that one day the Tank Cave would shatter records, its passages extending over 33,000 feet in total length. As Agnes wrote on her blog, navigating the Tank Cave felt like swimming through a spider's web gone wild. The soft, crumbling walls silt out easily, reducing visibility to zero. On that fateful day, Agnes made the daring decision to separate from her dive partner and attempt to single-handedly squirm her way through one of those incredibly tight restrictions that were her calling card. Hours ticked by as Agnes's dive partner patiently awaited her return. But as the sunshine faded, the terrible reality set in. Something had gone catastrophically wrong. Andy Higgins, the dive supervisor monitoring the cave entrance, made the call to Marine Police. For the next several days, a long search and recovery operation took place as teams of divers painstakingly retraced every loop and turn of the Tank Cave's inner chambers. Finally, after carefully mapping out a route on video, they located Agnes's body. She had become trapped a mere 16 feet away from a reserve air cylinder that contained 176 bars of usable gas, enough to save her life. The retrieval itself was a remarkable feat. Working in teams of two, while tied to guideline systems, the divers carefully negotiated the restrictions one by one until they reached Agnes, laying fresh air tanks at strategic intervals along the way. When her body was at last recovered and brought to the surface 4 days after her descent, Dr. Richard Harris examined Agnes. A longtime friend and underwater videographer who had documented many of her dives, Harris reported that Agnes had remained calm and composed till her last breath as she attempted to find an exit. In a tragic irony, it appeared Agnes had accomplished her mission after all. The guidelines she had laid extend off into darkened recesses of the cave, evidence that she had bravely staked a claim on new unexplored territory before ultimately becoming trapped with no way out. This story takes place in the alluring, deceptive cave located in the picturesque pine forest near Mount Gambier, with clear waters reaching down around just 65 feet. This water-filled sinkhole, known as Death Cave or Alain's Cave, looks quite inviting at first glance. But like all cave systems, Death Cave holds formidable dangers. Just west of the entrance, a single open area reveals a glimpse. Monstrous boulders lining a low, flat passage that seems to welcome explorers inward. As divers venture deeper into the main cave, the crystal clear pool gives way to a harsh reality. The entire cavern floor is smothered in soft, deep mud that can be easily disturbed and turn the waters into an opaque silt. Despite its extreme hazards, the temptation proved too great for a group of 4 young divers on October 9, 1972. Having just spent a weekend diving the region's other sinkholes, they made a split-second decision to investigate the unassuming Death Cave before heading home to Adelaide. This 4-person team embodied the fearless spirit of youth, but also inexperience when it came to cave diving. The 2 youngest, 17-year-olds Ron and Christopher, had been diving for just 18 months and 2 years, respectively. Their companion, Sandra, 18, was equally fresh. At 39 years old, Dave was the elder and most seasoned of the group, with 15 years of open water diving under his belt. However, none of the 4 could claim meaningful experience in the specialized realm of cave diving and its unforgiving dangers. Despite carrying their safety guideline equipment in their car, the lure of Death Cave's crystal water saw them abandon basic safety protocols in favor of a quick look-see before hitting the road home. Gearing up with full tanks in the early afternoon of October 9th, the 4 friends splashed into Death Cave's inviting waters. For the first few minutes, they stuck to exploring the shallows near the entrance, venturing no further than the open passage about 19 feet down. But the temptation of that silty, snaking passage proved too great for Dave to resist. He announced his intent to push inward for just a bit, swimming sightlessly into the constricting 3-foot-high by 9-foot-wide corridor. The younger Ron, Sandra, and Christopher followed in his wake, kicking up the clouds of silt with their every move. They'd venture roughly 19 feet through the suffocating channel before it finally opened up into a larger cavern area. That's when the silt trap sprung, instantly turning the crystal water into an opaque, impenetrable void. As the divers realized in horror that their entry route was now completely obscured, the reality of their situation set in. Ron frantically suggested making a hasty exit before the zero visibility conditions overcame them for good, but it was too late. Their panicked efforts to retrace their way back toward the entrance only churned the soft mud bottom into a massive, blinding cloud that consumed the entire cavern in absolute blackness. For the next 30 minutes, the 4 divers struggled blindly in desperation. In the chilling silence, the team became hopelessly scattered. Ron found himself temporarily dislodged from his own regulator in confusion. But the pitch blackness utterly disoriented the divers, leaving them clueless as to which way to swim. At one point during his frantic struggle, Ron heard the sounds of other divers nearby. But no matter which way he swam, he couldn't seem to locate them. Blinded and with his oxygen dwindling rapidly, Ron ultimately pulled the reserve valve on his nearby depleted tank, signing his death warrant. But just when all hope seemed lost, a miracle happened. Out of the corner of his eye, a faint glimmer of greenish light shined from above. With a massive rush of adrenaline, the near-drowned Ron kicked powerfully toward that shimmering exit. Moments later, coughing and sputtering, he broke the surface of Death Cave's shallows in a state of near delirium. Unfortunately for the rest of the team, Ron's near-miraculous escape would be the only one. After being hauled into a support boat, he frantically attempted to tap out directions for the remaining divers using his tank, but the darkness had already swallowed them whole. Their air supplies depleted before they could ever find their way out of that blinding silt trap. In a cruel twist, when expert recovery diver Mac Laurie arrived on the scene the next day, his initial search found Dave's body a short distance from the exit passage. Meanwhile, Sandra and Christopher were discovered at the far end of the main cavern, likely having mistaken it for the way out. In the aftermath, the once innocuous little Death Cave was permanently gated off and prohibited to recreational divers. While 3 of the 4 lives lost in Death Cave that October day could never be reclaimed, their names would live on in Australia's cave diving community.